Oliver from Pacific Island Food Revolution. Thanks so much for inviting me here today. I'm going to give you a little background on Pacific Island Food Revolution. Fiji, Samoa, Vanuatu, the Kingdom of Tonga. You think of these places and you think of swaying palms, beautiful water, beautiful beaches, beautiful people. And all of this is true. But there is trouble. There is big trouble in paradise. The Pacific is in the throes of an NCD crisis, a non-communicable disease crisis. Diabetes, heart disease, obesity are all ravaging the region. 84% of NCD-related deaths in Fiji, the worst in the world. There are 3 amputations a day in Fiji due to diabetic concerns, and 75% of all Pacific deaths are related to non-communicable diseases. Now, this is all quite new. So over the course of a generation, there's been a change in the way Pacific people eat. It's kind of the long tail of globalization and colonization playing out in the food landscape, as there's been a switch from the traditional local foods that I was brought up on in Fiji and the markets to processed foods. And we've all been exposed to the tsunami of marketing that comes with processed foods and sugary drinks. But of course, the key to good health is still sitting right there in the markets, in the farms, in the Pacific backyard. The key to good health sits in local cuisine. So how do we take local food, local cuisine, and make it fresh and sexy for a new generation? Now, I've worked on a lot of the big cooking shows. I was a judge on My Kitchen Rules, and I'd always viewed these big reality shows as kind of trashy, but then I was like, wow, they really get people cooking. They really get people talking about food. They engage a new generation in food. So I put together a project called Pacific Island Food Revolution to do just that, to raise this, to create this excitement around Pacific Island cuisine in Fiji, Samoa, Vanuatu, the Kingdom of Tonga. I really wanted to make something that people wanted to be a part of. And so I reached out to a group of friends in the countries to host the show with me, and here are some thoughts from them.
Vinaka. My name is Bertrand Jang, and I am the new host for Pacific Island Food Revolution for Fiji. Now, we all know that our original Pacific cuisine is delicious and nutritious. So Pacific Island Food Revolution is about the restoration of Pacific cuisine, suited for these modern times.
Malo alele, I am Fololeni Kerr, the co-host for the Kingdom of Tonga. We in the Pacific love visual mediums, so TV is the perfect way to get into people's homes and lives with this positive cultural message. Plus, I get to look pretty, dress up, and smile for the camera.
Hello everyone, my name is Fatausi Mackenzie Reo, co-host for the beautiful islands of Vanuatu. Pacific Island Food Revolution is a solution to a Pacific problem. We do not need anything from outside to fix this. We have the traditional knowledge and our food behind us to guide us. You see, non-communicable diseases is not just government business. Through food, non-communicable diseases is everyone's business. And you know what? We can do this.
Talafalava, this is Dora Rossi, the co-host for beautiful Samoa. Hey, everybody everywhere is talking about Pacific Island Food Revolution and about food. Pacific Island Food Revolution is something people want to be a part of because, you see, it is not just a TV show. It's a social movement. It really is a revolution.
You can see I'm not short on personality for the show. So 2 years in, thanks to the support of the Australian and New Zealand governments, we have 5 million Pacific viewers a week, going into 5 million Pacific homes a week, 20 networks in every country. We play internationally on TV1 in New Zealand, on Maori TV in New Zealand, ABC International, on SBS Food in Australia, primetime, Saturday night, all through Southeast Asia, in the United Kingdom, and soon in the United States. And this is important because people are often learning about Pacific cuisine, Pacific food for the first time. And while there's a lull in tourism, I'm hoping they'll come back to the region wanting our food, knowing about our food, and this is a vital link to local agriculture. Local cuisine requires local agriculture. We've got a massive social media infrastructure, lots and lots of activity on Facebook and Instagram. You can look them both up, Pacific Island Food Revolution. We've also got 4 radio shows and a radio show in each of the country in their local language. And we have a website with all the recipes, so you can actually take this food into your life, into your home. And this is where the buzz really sits. It's around all the social media. People get to engage with us beyond the television. So there's been a couple of spin-offs come about. One is Pacific Kids Food Revolution, which is a YouTube series working with children in Fiji. It's just taken off, and that is in partnership with Pacific Island Food Revolution and UNICEF, and we love working with UNICEF.
Welcome to Shabi 2. This is Sanma Food Revolution. Yay!
This is Sanma Food Revolution, a terrific spin-off in Vanuatu. 2 of our contestants from season 2 of the television series, who are by now, of course, terribly famous locally, were approached by their communities to bring the revolution into the community. So they do a road show, which is in Santo Island in Vanuatu, Sanma Food Revolution, in collaboration with the Asia Foundation, and we love collaborating with the Asia Foundation. We did a thorough impact assessment survey at the end of season 2 of Pacific Island Food Revolution. And what we found were incredible numbers of people who had been exposed to us, as opposed to people who had not been watching the show, the difference in their eating habits. And this is that.
The report found an improvement in better eating habits in Fiji by 33%. Toso Viti.
In Vanuatu, we experienced 38% of improvement in the way that the people eat. This is after watching Pacific Island Food Revolution. This is real impact. Vanuatu, go, 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 itaftumas.
Oh, Batausi. You better move over, honey, because in Samoa, we clocked in a staggering 146% improvement in the way we eat. Woo!
Oh, move over, all of you. That's nothing. In Tonga, we found 262% improvement in the way people eat. Say what? In other words, people who watches us nearly 3 times likely to choose local, healthy food. But then again, we all know that Tonga is the best.
Just a wee bit competitive, huh? So what do these numbers mean? We found that in the Pacific, in Tonga, 87% of Tongans were watching the show, 83% of people in Vanuatu, 68% of people in Fiji, 49% of people in Vanuatu watching the show. 42% of them have reported a positive change in their diets over the past year. If that plays out over 5 years, 10%, just 10% of that number, if they maintain this behavior, 170,000 people will move towards better health in our 4 countries. That's in the 4 countries alone. Imagine this across the whole Pacific. And it's also important to remember that food is not just a development, a health and well-being issue. It's fundamental to Pacific identity, to all cultural identity. It goes right to the heart. It's what our mothers make us. So this is about the elevation of culture. And Dr. Jone, in season 2, noticing some of the contestants were very caught up in the competition, he wanted to remind them of what they were actually doing.
This is before we are going to do the final announcement. If I could just share a few words with you before we move on. I teamed up with Robert several years ago because of the crisis that we are facing at the Ministry of Health. I felt that we are at the bottom of a cliff and we are at the receiving end of a lot of these unhealthy habits. We did a small study and we found out that we were amputating 1 in every 12 hours, diabetics. And that was diabetes alone. I mean, we're talking about cancer and heart attacks and all the NCDs that are coming. We know we are competing against, processed foods and good marketing and a lot of money poured into that. One thing I shared with Robert was, if I go into the village today, an old lady serves me fresh fish and roro and tapioca, they will apologize to me for serving me that food. And he didn't believe me. I said, well, we can go today to any village in Fiji. That was the positioning of our food, the way I saw it, and I didn't like it. And I told him we have to change that. We have to change that because it means a lot. We shouldn't be looking down at our food. That's why I'm part of this revolution. I'm emotional about it, and I'm happy that I'm emotional about it because I know I'm representing a lot of people who are actually facing more hardship and struggles because of that. And your participation means the world. You standing up and coming to this show. It's a competition, yes, it is. But it's much more than that. We are trying to elevate ourselves, our culture, what we are good at, superfoods. This changes a lot in the platform of health for our country. And I do not know what's going to happen next after this and go to the finals. But I want you to know that your participation is going to inspire a lot of people in Fiji, in the Pacific, those of us who are overseas. And I want you to know that. Don't take it lightly. And if you come out of here and you don't make it to the finals, know that you have contributed immensely to the health of this nation just by taking part. I wanted to share that with you because I feel it's the voice of those people that are lying in our hospitals, struggling with lack of resources. And you know very well the struggles because you come from that, you represent that too. And irrespective of what happens today, I hope that you will take that with you. Thank you.
So it's important to remember what is cuisine. Cuisine is the cultural system of food. And all of the Pacific Island Food Revolution work is based on Pacific food culture, the asset the Pacific food culture represents. And we're very grateful to the Gourmand family for recognizing our books and their award system. And that is really the basis of where we began our work. And local food is not just health and well-being, it's also identity. It's the relationship with climate change, with biodiversity, the tourism experience, with immunity, with culture and heritage, with more and more and more. And it's also really critical to remember what is a revolution. A revolution is something by the people, about the people, and for the people. And who are those people?
This is our revolution.
It's our revolution.
This is our revolution.
It's our revolution.
This is our revolution.
This is our revolution.
Our revolution.
This is our revolution.
This is our
This is our revolution.
We're all in this together, and we can get through this together. The revolution begins at home.
Thank you all.
Merci beaucoup. J'ai décidé de choisir